back with episode 9 of Two Girls Rock. It's been a
Hmm.
minute. I apologize.
Had some
Sometimes
stuff going on.
we did have some stuff going on, and it's been really busy lately. Um, so yeah, we don't really have an excuse, but it's whatever because it's for fun. But this is episode 9. If you listen to our last episode, it was about Max Saturn and all the controversy that's happening with them right now. So we decided to do an episode on craziest band stories and controversy.
Hmm.
To kind of piggyback off of that, because there's a lot of crazy fucking stories. And
Hmm.
I know a lot of them, and I just need to talk about it.
You just know them all. Like if it's a crazy story, I feel like you know them.
It's true. That's like my niche like
Hmm.
topic. If I were to ever write like a dissertation on anything or like a thesis, it would be
Hmm.
this.
Yeah.
I know so many unnecessary things about rock bands. I don't even know why, but it's just when you hear something so fucking crazy, how
Hmm.
it burns
It just
into your
sticks.
mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sticks and you never forget it because
Yeah.
it's like things that I, as a normal person, well, decently normal, would never think about doing ever in my whole entire life. And
Yeah.
these people are
Just
doing it.
completely wild.
It's like, where do they come up with this? Well, they're all on drugs. So that helps.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so that's a big part. But to start it off, do you have a song of the day?
Yeah. I feel like every day that we've done it, it's caught me on a country day, and
I agree.
it's no different this time. However, so it's Cardi, his new song Rockstar, and he's actually coming out with a rock album.
I would be interested in that.
Yeah, it's like the first song out right now, and it's pretty good. It's definitely like you can definitely tell it's a lot heavier than like the other stuff he's done. Obviously. Um, but I feel like he's definitely one of those people that can like go from country to rock. Like he has that like that voice for it and everything. So I'm excited to hear the rest of his, but it just got stuck in my head.
I could see that though, like especially I've heard some of his stuff that is
Hmm.
kind of shifting towards
Yeah,
rock,
yeah,
and I don't mind it. I am a really big fan of anyone who's a good songwriter. So
yeah.
I give him props for that. Am I the biggest Hardy fan? No, I'm just
I
not.
bet there's bigger fans out there than us. Yeah,
For sure.
for sure.
I'm definitely not trying to be one. I'm not even gonna try to say that I know a lot about him because I don't, other
Yeah.
than he writes really good songs and writes for other
Hmm.
people, and I respect that about artists.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll be interested if he comes out with a rock album for sure.
Yeah, he's supposed to be coming out with like a full length album. It's supposed to be rock, so I'm interested. Hmm.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, for me, it was when MGK went pop punk.
Oh yeah,
That was so good for me. I'm
I
sad
know.
'cause I
And
don't
now
think
he's
he's,
turning back.
I was gonna say
Whatever.
he said it was just gonna be the 2 albums, and then he's like
Yeah,
done.
and all his songs that he's been coming out with, he's had a couple singles have all been back to rap and hip hop.
Yeah,
So
which is like fine.
yeah, don't get me wrong,
Like
his
it's
songs are
not
fine.
bad, but
But he
man,
just really did it well.
Tickets to My Downfall,
Hmm.
so good. It's so good. So
Yeah.
that kind of reminds me of that when you mentioned Hardy Going Rock.
Hmm.
I miss that era of NGK. Um, but my song of the day, I don't necessarily like have a specific one, but for some
Hmm.
reason, when my husband and I woke up this morning before work, we were singing Easy by the Commodores, Lionel Richie. Is that correct?
Uh-huh.
And we were just singing it. It was fun. So that was kind of like our song of the morning. And then
Song of the
later,
morning.
song of the morning, and then later in the day, Eagles, they always hit.
Yep. Yep.
I was listening to them today because whenever they come on, it's a no skip
We
for
just
me.
had this conversation that no
It's a no
matter
skip.
what mood you're in, it
Yeah,
immediately.
we did actually recently have this conversation to our 5 listeners. Peyton and I were talking the other day, and we both love the Eagles so much. Go listen to our Eagles episode. But like they are so up there for me. I have an Eagles tattoo. Like,
Yep.
I am 1,000% an Eagles fan. If they only have one fan, it's me. If they only have two fans, it's me and Peyton.
Yep. Yep.
So,
Yep.
and we were talking the other day how it doesn't matter what mood you're in at
Yep.
all. Put your
Yep.
phone on shuffle. If the Eagles come on, you're not skipping it. I don't even
Yep.
care if you're in like a super happy, upbeat mood. If Desperado comes on,
Yep. It's like, oh,
it
I'm in a mood
hurts.
now.
It physically hurts. And I'm like, and it doesn't, the thing about it that amazes me is that it doesn't drag me down,
No.
but it still captures my attention in such a way that no one else can.
Yeah. You always know when an Eagles song it's like it's me right in the heart. I'm like, oh,
No,
this
literally,
is so good.
it hurts physically. So big
Uh-huh.
Eagles fans over here. So I guess I didn't really have a song of the day, but I kind of did. I had a song of the
Yeah.
morning and then
Kind
just
of.
who I never skipped Eagles. So
Yep.
that's kind of what
Yep.
happened. Well, let's kind of get moving then. So also just
Mm-hmm.
an update before we start our crazy stories. Last week we went to the Mammoth WVH show. That was really fun.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yep.
actually met Nita Strauss, which was
Yep. She was the
amazing.
opener.
She was
And
the opener.
um I my first like introduction to her was like years ago when she did actually an article in a health magazine
Really?
and about how healthy she was. Yeah.
She
Like
is big into fitness.
before I knew her for anything else, um it had been her health for some reason. That was like the first thing that I had seen about her and
That's
how
actually
she
so
had like
cool.
she wasn't like a big partier anymore or anything, but she had
Yeah.
really taken
I think she's sober
her health.
now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she is.
Yeah.
Had taken her health really seriously and kind of like filled it with that. Um so that's the first time that like I kind of got an introduction to her. And then after that, I'd always just really liked her and I was really excited to see her. And it was amazing. It was so good.
It
I
was so
really
good.
enjoyed it.
Yeah, when was the first time I got introduced to Nita? I was actually thinking about that the other day too, and
Uh-huh.
I cannot remember. It's just one
Yeah.
day I think she just appeared, probably through
Yeah.
social media or something.
Yeah.
And as a blonde girl who plays guitar, I pay
Hmm.
attention when I see other
A
blonde
kindred soul.
girls. A kindred soul. I pay attention when I see another blonde woman playing guitar because I love them. They're everything to me. She's my girl crush. What can I say? Her and Sophie Lloyd,
Yep.
10 out of 10. But that's so funny that you found her in a health magazine. She is really
Yeah.
into fitness. She
Yeah.
has
It
like
was
a
like
whole,
years ago. I don't
that's
even know if I was in
crazy.
high school yet, or I might have been in high school. I don't know.
Gosh, you're
But
so young.
yeah, just seen it and I was like, wow, she seems really cool. And then I had started like kind of following her and seeing like all that she's done and everything. Um,
She is really cool. That's why.
yeah.
But yeah, no, I think she even has like a little boot camp type thing that you can buy.
I think she does. Yeah,
Yeah,
like a
she
little boot
does.
camp.
I've never done it, and I'm
Thanks,
also
girl.
really into fitness, so I've thought about it, but I'm like, I know my own shit, so it's fine.
Yeah.
But love that for her. Absolutely love
Hmm.
it. But so basically to recap our night, we went down to Detroit, had a drink or two, and then we always get the fast lane passes for GA shows because you have to. Met
Yep.
this old man named Mark. He kind of hung out with us for a second. We watched the show, fantastic. And then she was like, yo, we're gonna be at the merch booth if y'all want to come say hi for a second.
Yeah,
And
it
we
was
were
there
like,
like before
yeah,
the
before
before
Mammoth.
Mammoth went on. They're like, we're gonna be down there for a little bit. So we're like,
So I'm looking
oh, I
at
guess
Peyton.
we have to.
We have to because we were like row three though. And so we were
Yeah,
like, this is a gamble.
yeah, yeah.
We might not make it back, but here's the thing. I really wanted to meet Nita because for our listeners, back when I was newly pregnant, which was a while ago now, thank God, um, I went to her last Detroit guitar clinic. And once in a while, when she's like on tour, she'll set up guitar clinics at like record stores and music stores and stuff. And it's really cool thing. It was either free or like $20 to go to it. So
Yeah.
really easy to go to. It was like a very intimate thing. I think there was maybe 50 people there, pretty small. That's a lie.
Mhm.
It was like 100 people, but still. It was at
That's a
Rock
lie.
City. That's a lie. As it was coming out of
Yeah.
my mouth, I realized that's wrong. No, it was at Rock City though, where
Hmm.
we went and met Dee Snider. So same
Yeah.
place, small,
Yeah.
intimate venue. It was super cool. Um, it was like the first hour, she was like on their little stage and she played a couple songs and like talked about her techniques and her gear and like answered people's
Hmm.
questions. Like it was a really cool thing for guitar players.
Yeah.
And but I was newly pregnant. And this is a key part in the
Key part
story.
of the story.
Key part of the story because after the clinic was over, then the meet and greet starts. And I was so excited to meet her. And so I was waiting in line out in the parking lot because the line was so long, which is why I knew it was a lie when I said 50 people. Because the
Right.
line was so long, it like went out the door and they didn't want
Mhm.
everyone like crammed in the store while they were doing it. So I was like waiting out in line in the parking lot. I was with my husband and I was just standing there like, man, I'm gonna be sick. This isn't good. Because if you know me, I had a very rough pregnancy. I was very sick. And then I was like, I don't know if I can wait for this meet and greet. Like, I don't know how quick this line is gonna move. It's probably not gonna move that quick. Then I threw up in
Yeah.
the parking lot, and so we were like, "Yep, let's go." So I
Done
did
with
not
this.
done with this. So I got to see the clinic, but I didn't get to meet her, which was sad for
Mhm.
me. But which is why when we were standing there, I was like, Peyton,
Mhm.
maybe we should gamble and
Yeah.
go meet Nita. So we did. We went over the merch areas like in a different floor at that venue that we were at. And so we went down there, we wait in line, we get up there. Peyton, you went first.
Hmm.
She bought a t-shirt. She
Yep,
signed
I
it for
bought a
you.
t-shirt. Yep, I got it signed, and she was so nice, and
She's so
she was just
nice.
like, "Hi guys," like and um,
She was so
she was
nice.
talking a minute, and yeah, she was just super nice. We got a picture with her.
Yeah, and yeah, after Peyton bought her t-shirt, got it signed or whatever, then I got to talk to her for a second. And I told her that story of how
Hmm.
I went to her last clinic but couldn't stay because I threw up. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, like I'm so sorry." And I'm like, "It's not your fault, babe. Not your fault at all. But I'm just happy I get to meet you now." And
Hmm.
I like handed her my phone to take a selfie, and she saw my screensaver was my baby, and she was like, "Oh my God, is that your baby?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
That's the one.
That's the one I threw up for. So she thought that was funny, and I'm like, "That's cool." But yeah, so we got to meet Nita. She was really nice.
Hmm.
Um, but then we tried to go back up for Mammoth before he started. We did
Did not
not get,
happen.
no, that did not happen. We did not get through that
It was
crowd.
packed in there.
So packed. So packed. And like everyone was kind of an asshole about it.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like,
And like, don't get me wrong, I get it. Like, you don't want to let people that like haven't been there through. Okay, we passed all of you on our way out.
but
You
I'm like,
saw us
you
coming from
literally
the
saw
front.
us
Like,
leave.
you saw, we passed almost every single one of you. Like, it's not
Literally.
like we're trying to sneak up through here. Like,
Right.
you literally saw us.
You
Yeah.
literally saw us the first time.
We had to talk to you to get through. That's how packed it was. Like, you
Facts.
know.
You literally know we were here. Don't do that to us.
Mhm.
But they did because they were assholes. So, but that's okay because we were kind of like, we're kind of happy with what this was, anyways. And
Yeah.
so we watched the concert for a little bit from like the back. And downstairs, they actually had it playing like on a screen, like a live viewing of it.
Mhm.
So we hung out down there for a second. But then we were like, it's a Wednesday night. Do you want to go?
It's Wednesday night. We're tired.
I was like,
We're both yawning down there. We're like,
we
ooh.
gotta go to work in the morning. So we were like, well, and I got to see him play my favorite song,
Yeah.
Epiphany. I think that's what it's called. I got to see that though, and so I was like, I'm good. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Well,
So it was an
yeah.
early night for us, but it was still cool.
Yeah. And we know there's going to be a ton more chances to see them. Like, same again. Like,
Oh yeah, they're touring. It's fine. It's all good. So
and
that
it
was
was worth it to meet Nita and her band. So,
exactly, that was worth it for me. That made my whole night. So I'm good with that. But
yeah.
that's our last concert update. I'm
Yep.
actually going to see, of all people, Randy Houser tomorrow. And here's the thing, don't even ask me why. Well, you can ask me why. My friend
Why?
works for why? My best friend works for the production company or media company that's putting on the concert.
Mm-hmm.
So she asked me to come, say less, I'll be there. So yeah, I think she got us like a little VIP stuff
Well,
going
that's fun.
on. Hey, I'll twist my arm,
I'll go.
twist my arm, I'll go. That's fine. So that is the next concert that I'm going to. But we got a couple other ones this month that we'll keep you updated for.
Yep.
But let's get on with the topic of the day because we've actually talked a lot more than I thought that we would in the beginning here. Do you want to give an
On to the
update?
controversies.
I exactly. Do you want to give an update on Max Saturn? How are they
Sure.
doing?
So very little update. One, before I say the legal update, I don't know if you've seen because I meant to send it to you and talk to you about it and then just haven't. Um, they changed their album cover and
Did
took Evan
they?
and Ian off.
Evan and Ian? I was
Yep, so
wondering
they're down
about
to
him.
four. Yeah. And they're like Apple Music pictures different now. Like the album cover's still the same of the album. They just literally like must have photoshopped them out. I don't know.
Oh my God,
But
I gotta look it up right now. I
yeah.
did not
So
see that.
yeah, I
You seen it
literally
on
screenshotted it
Instagram?
to send to you. Um, I seen it on like Apple Music too, is where I saw it. But yeah,
That's crazy.
it's
Okay,
official now.
I don't really see it on their Instagram, so let me just go on Apple Music. That's crazy. I did not hear that update. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you listen to our last episode, I was wondering why Ian, their bass player, was not
Mm-hmm.
included in their statements. Like at the bottom where it
Yep.
was saying like from Carson and Mike and
Yep.
whatever. Ian wasn't included. And I
Yep.
was like, why? So do we know any tea on him? Because I don't.
No, I haven't seen anything about it. He must, I'm assuming, probably just left when everything happened.
That is so crazy. They literally went poof,
Yep.
you're gone. Which
Yep.
that is a really cool album cover. So good for them.
Yeah,
Here,
the
I'll
album cover
show
itself
the
is really cool. Show the
literally
fans, the YouTube
show.
fans.
Yeah, right. Oh my God, they literally just went poof, you're gone. That's
Yep.
crazy. I like this new Apple Music cover though. Sorry,
Yeah.
this is shitty for the YouTube viewers, but whatever. Um, that's a cool picture of them though. So does that mean they're gonna continue?
I'm wondering if they're going to try. But I feel like they wouldn't have gone through the work of that to change it if they
Facts.
hadn't have been
It
wanting
has
to try
been
and continue.
radio silence from
Yep.
them since. I haven't seen
Yep.
anything from any of the members.
Mm-mm.
So, but
Yeah.
hey,
So
it actually might be their best option to try to stick together because if they try to branch out, no one's going to accept them
yeah,
in different bands. So
exactly.
it might be their only option, to
I
be
was just gonna say it
honest.
might be their only option, kind of. So
It
see
might
how that
be.
goes for them.
Yeah.
Um,
So, what's
for
the legal
legally,
update? Yeah.
um, so Evan Mercer's he has 5 counts, 5 indictment counts,
Mm,
by the federal grand jury, and they're looking up to 30 years in prison. So
absolutely.
you get it.
Yeah.
So it sounds like obviously this stuff takes forever to go to trial and do all that sort of stuff, but it sounds like
It's moving
they're moving. Yep,
as it
they're
fucking
gonna do
should.
it. So as it should.
As it fucking should. He can rot in jail. There we go.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
but yeah, so for some reason, this news brought on us thinking of other crazy shit that
All
bands
the
have
other
done.
crazy controversies.
All the other crazy shit. So I made a few notes of
Yep.
things that I wanted to talk about
Yep.
specifically.
Yep.
I have to talk about Motley Crue because here's the thing. I am a huge Motley Crue fan. I
Yep.
love them. I have a Motley Crue tattoo. I've met them. It's a big deal for me. And I know a lot of shit about them. So the first one that has forever stuck in my mind, it's mentioned in the Dirt book, but it's not in the movie.
Mhm.
So if you haven't read the book, you haven't heard of it.
Mhm.
Um, so I also apologize if you've heard these before, but we're going to talk about them anyways. Um, so in the song Same Old Situation, do you remember at the end where Vince is like, here, kitty, kitty, here, kitty, kitty? Like super fucking weird, right? And you're like, why
Mhm.
is he saying that? I'll tell
Yeah,
you
why?
why, bitch.
Right.
I'll fucking tell you why. Because there was a time backstage, for some fucking reason, they had like a circle of, I think, like 20 or 30 guys, right? And there was this poor, unfortunate soul in the middle of a groupie. And this girl was, so picture guys all jacking off in a circle, right? We're just going to dive right into it. They're all sitting in a giant circle, jacking off. And this poor girl is going around the circle on her hands and knees. I'm pretty sure she was dressed as a cat, but I could be wrong. But she's
But
going
I could
around,
be
but
wrong.
I could be wrong. I wasn't there. She's going around licking the the stuff out of all the guys' hands. And they were all yelling, "Here, kitty, kitty."
Ew.
This poor woman, is she
Ew.
okay? Is she still alive? If
She's
she
still
is,
alive.
how is she
Does she
doing?
need therapy?
She
Is
probably
it very
does.
traumatic? Mhm. Yeah.
But she was also probably on like drugs. So
Definitely probably tripping.
I would kind of hope
I
that
was just
no
gonna
one
say,
would
I
do that
kind of hope
sober.
this was a drug-induced situation.
I would hope no one would
Um,
do that sober.
yeah, yeah.
So so now whenever I hear that song and I
Hmm.
hear that part, again, it's forever ingrained in my mind because
Yeah, it's one of those things like, how can you not think
you
about
don't
it?
forget that.
Mm.
Once you hear that, you don't
You
forget.
don't forget that.
And so guess what, guys? Now you guys are gonna think about it too because I gotta talk about it. A few other honorable mentions.
Hmm.
The burritos. Do you know what Nikki and Tommy used to do with burritos?
You told me, we had this conversation, but I'm blanking at the moment.
We did, but it was a while ago. Because I
Yeah.
said, you don't fucking know.
Yeah, yeah, you're exactly.
Probably. So what happened with burritos was Nikki and Tommy would try to mask the scent of being with groupies,
Oh, yeah,
other
yeah, yeah,
women
yeah, yeah.
to their girlfriends. And so they would go to this burrito shop near them and get egg burritos. And then they would stick their dicks in them instead of just like showering and like using soap to like
Yeah.
get the smell off. They would use burritos. And so then when they would go
Because
home,
why not?
because why not? And then when they would go home, they thought it would mask the scent,
Hmm.
which trails into kind of the spaghetti incident as well, which is
Hmm.
Guns N' Roses related, but it's also Motley Crue related. And here's the thing, this has always confused me
Hmm.
because I originally heard about this as a Motley Crue story, but
Yeah.
apparently like Guns N' Roses, like they literally have, isn't don't they have a little album called The Spaghetti Incident? Hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They sure do.
Yeah, they literally have an album called The Spaghetti Incident. So I'm a little bit confused about the origin. However, the story remains the same, I think. Um, but the Motley Crue story that I've heard is Nikki and Tommy had a bet to see who could go the longest without showering and like hook up with as many women as possible still. And I'm pretty sure
Is
they
that
both,
hence the burritos?
that could be part of it. um, Probably was a part of it.
Mhm.
But they had this bet to see how long each of them could go without showering and still get women to like hook up with them. And as
Mhm.
often as they did, that's a lot. So I'm pretty sure they got at least like a month into this bet.
Oh my God.
Disgusting. A month.
Ugh.
without
That is
washing your
disgusting.
junk.
Ugh.
Can you imagine? Oh my God. And so this poor girl finally is like going down on Nikki. It smells so bad, apparently, that she throws up on his dick, and she ate spaghetti earlier. And so she threw up spaghetti on his dick. And that's the spaghetti incident that I know of. That's the one that I've heard.
Okay.
So that's one. That's great. Um,
That's great.
that's great. Another honorable mention, the Jaguar transaction. Um, Tommy Lee really wanted to drive this girl's car, right? She had, I guess, like a sick Jaguar. And they seemed to think it was an important note that she was a heavier lady.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, I know this one.
yeah, and so they bet Tommy that he like wouldn't sleep with her just to drive her car, and he did.
Hmm.
So that's just a little one though. That's not that bad. Me saying that's not that bad, but
Not that
in the
bad.
grand scheme of what we're
In the
talking
grand
about,
scheme of Motley Crue craziness,
that's just a little drop in
that's
the
a little
bucket.
one.
Yeah. And then Tommy also had sex with this girl in exchange for studio time, and that's how they recorded their first album. They did it all in like 3 days.
Interesting.
Yeah, because he had sex in order to get the studio time because they had no money.
I had no
And
money.
that reminded me when I was thinking about that earlier that Stephen Percy of Rat also did something
Hmm.
similar. But his what I read this in his book. He
Hmm.
talked about it, and he would have sex with the booking agent at the Whiskey because they were a smaller band. It
Hmm.
was when Van Halen was really big, and
Yeah.
they were just trying to get gigs. And
Right.
the booking agent was fond of him, thought he was a good looking
Um,
guy. And so she literally like made it so if he had sex with her, she'd put him on the bill. And then when he tried to stop, she stopped booking them.
hmm.
And he was like, oh, fuck. Like, am I
Hmm.
trapped? And I'm like,
I try.
am I trapped? And turns out he was. So that was a little not very cool thing
No.
that happened to him. But I mean, like, when you're trying to get your band on, you
People
know,
do crazy stuff.
people do crazy shit for it. And
Hmm.
hey, back in the 80s, I don't really blame him. Can't say I'd do the same, but also can't say I wouldn't do the same. So that reminded me of Stephen Percy. Um, Still on Motley Crue though. The groupie phone incident. I think I've told you this one before too, but a long time
Hmm.
ago, probably.
Hmm.
So they had this, again, poor woman who was there voluntarily, by the way. It was probably consensual. I say that with, not a lot of, proof, but it was probably consensual. And she was there. And, back in the day, they had the phones that like went on the receiver and everything. So
Yeah.
it had, it was literally this.
Yeah.
And so they stuck half of the phone up her hoo-ha and then called her mom. And her mom answered and was like, hello. It was in her vagina. And then they were like, talk to her. Or I don't know what they did, but this poor girl. So that's something. Um, And then, you got all like the classic scenes in the dirt,
Yep.
Ozzy's shit of snorting ants and licking pee and the
Yep.
whole controversy with Razzle, um,
Hmm.
their apartment from hell,
Hmm.
where they would, you know, burn cockroaches with hairspray and a lighter instead of just cleaning. But yeah, so that's a
As one
little,
does.
yeah, as one does. That's just like a little bit on Motley Crue. I'm sure there's literally so much shit that we don't even know.
So much.
Um, So yeah, if anybody has any crazy stories, DM them to me because I'd love to talk about it.
Send them in.
Send them in, send in the requests.
Yeah.
Um, but then a long time ago, everyone, when me and Peyton first had this conversation, it was like even pre-podcast, it was a long time ago. I also mentioned the shark incident from Led Zeppelin, and you've never heard of that one either. And that one is
No,
just simply
I'm
put,
not up on my controversies.
yeah, you're not up on the T. That one just simply put is when Led Zeppelin had a mud shark somehow. I don't know where they got it
Just
from.
simply put.
Just simply put. And then they used it to pleasure a lady. Simply put. But I don't know where they would get a mud shark or what the hell. I don't know.
How odd.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
How
there's
odd.
everyone's on drugs. So,
Yeah.
and then like another thing that's always stuck out to me too is Guns N' Roses with Rocket Queen.
Mm-hmm.
Because like Rocket Queen.
Oh yeah.
Who doesn't know Rocket Queen? Um, but for the viewers who don't, around 2.5 minutes into the song, you will hear Adriana Smith,
Mm-hmm.
and she is Steven Adler's ex-girlfriend and ex-groupie. Lovely lady. She's been on interviews later in life.
Lovely individual.
A lovely individual. I've seen interviews with her where she literally talks about this, which is crazy to me. But at
Mm-hmm.
around 2.5 minutes into the song, you will hear moaning, and that is her. And what had happened was, I guess, Steven Adler, who I love him so much, um, cheated on her, I guess. Who knows? And she was mad about it. So she was like, I'm gonna have sex with Axel now. And so Axel, being the artistic man that
The
he is,
artistic type.
the artistic type, decides to
Yep.
record the audio. He decides to take her
Yep.
into the recording booth, have sex with her in there, and record it, and then
And
put it
voila,
on
the song was born.
and put it in the song. And apparently, I read too that he was like trying to give her pointers or something of like how to sound. He's like, make it sound real. I'm like, what do you
Okay.
mean? Like, what do you mean? We're literally doing it. This is as real as it gets,
I was
babe.
gonna say this is pretty real,
This
but
is
okay.
pretty fucking real, but thanks, Axel. He's just in it for, the track, which
Yep.
is fine. Love, we could do so many things on Axl Rose that it could just be a different episode.
That'll be a podcast one day, guys.
We'll
Do a
we'll
deep
we
dive.
will have to do a Guns N' Roses episode because there's a lot of
Oh yeah.
shit. Because too, Axl
Mm-hmm.
versus Vince. Do you remember
Yep.
that?
Mm-hmm.
So what happened was, they were backstage at some concert, and I believe it was Axl Rose's girlfriend. No, oh my God, no. It was Vince's girlfriend. It might have been Charisse at the time, but don't quote me on that.
Mm-hmm.
Some woman that was with Vince at the time was backstage, and she ran into Izzy Stradlin.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently he was just like being a creep to her, whatever, as they did back then. And so then Vince heard about it from his lady and was like, what the fuck? So then he goes and confronts Izzy and is like,
Mm-hmm.
don't fucking touch my girlfriend or wife. I can't remember. And then for some reason, Axl gets involved in this because I think that's just a very Axl Rose thing to do,
Oh
is
yeah.
to try to make it about him now. And so then, because I can just see Izzy being like, whatever, fuck you, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
whatever.
End of it.
But like Axl Rose, he wants a fight. So he gets involved, and then they don't end up fighting, but they start this giant feud. And Vince Neil literally goes on MTV in like an interview and is like, Axl, meet me at this day, at this time. I'm gonna knock you out. Like, this is real beef. I want to like kill you. Like, you suck.
Yeah.
I fucking hate you. Literally goes on TV and says this. Nothing ever comes of it. But
Yeah.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But you could literally do so much on Guns N'
Nonetheless.
Roses. Um, but I did find, as I was looking at the internet today, um, this cool little thing. It says 25 tales of rock star access gone way too far. But is this the correct? Is the correct link? Yeah, it is. Because number one is Ozzy, and it with the ants and shit. So there was a couple in here that I wanted to pull out
Mm-hmm.
and talk about on here. And one of them is Cynthia Plastercaster. Have you ever heard of her?
So.
This woman, an innovator, an entrepreneur, an ex-groupie.
Mm-hmm.
She has many titles. So let me just read this for you. Um,
Okay.
it is titled Cynthia Plastercaster. Though not a rock star, Cynthia Al Britton, I think is how you pronounce her last name, aka Cynthia Plastercaster, has gotten closer to them than almost anyone else. This Chicago artist and self-proclaimed recovering groupie is responsible for creating plaster molds of the penises of more than 50 rock stars since the 1960s.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
That's an interesting hobby.
isn't that something? And I
Mm-hmm.
totally forgot about this woman until
Mm-hmm.
I read this today because I've heard
Mm-hmm.
of her before, which is crazy. She literally was like, "Nope, I want to make molds of their."
Yeah.
And Jimi
Hold on,
Hendrix
everybody.
literally, hold on, I got an idea.
Yeah.
Stay
Yeah.
with me now. Stay with me. Um, Jimi Hendrix was her first mold that she did. And she
Mm.
still says that he was her favorite to work with. And I'm like, that's interesting.
Mm.
So, Homegirl had a vision. She said,
Gina,
I'm gonna make molds so we can all know.
yeah.
We can share the secrets.
The
So,
world can know.
she's an innovator. I've read a few books from like ex-groupies and stuff. They're pretty
Hmm.
nuts. Have you read any from groupies?
I don't think so.
Oh,
I
you need
know
to. You need to. I read
we talked about some, but I need to read
there's
it.
this girl named Rita. I don't remember her real
We
name,
talked
but the
about.
book is like Rita Ray Rocks or something.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, she talked about she like who did she lose her virginity to? Billy Squire when she was like 15 on his tour bus. And
Hmm.
then she had sex with David Lee Roth, was really big for her.
Hmm.
It's just so amazing
So,
to hear it from
so,
the literally. I want to tell all.
yeah.
Those are my favorite ones. But anyways, let me see if there's any other ones. Um, there was a couple that I wanted to pull out. Keith Moon is mentioned, which to me, when I hear Keith Moon, I think of how destructive he was.
Hmm.
And also Joe Walsh. He said in that documentary, he was like, the worst thing to ever happen to me was Keith Moon liked me. Because, like, yeah, he taught Joe Walsh how to destroy a hotel room like no
Yeah.
other.
Yeah.
Um, so Keith Moon's talked about in here. Nikki Sixx is obviously talked in here, but I already talked about him.
Mhm.
Keith Richards, he he claimed that he once snorted the ashes of his deceased father. His manager brushed it off as a joke, but Richards has repeatedly made the claim in recent years. So that's like a really interesting thing to do as a person. I'm not sure why one would do that. That's weird.
That's very odd.
So love that for
Hmm.
him. So that's in
Maybe it'll be
here.
brought up in the book. Avery has the book.
Yeah, yeah. Which one is that? Which
Just
book?
his.
Oh, Dummy. Okay.
Yeah,
Gonna
yeah.
say
It's
there's
a
still a
big
few.
book.
God, I'm sure it is. There's still a few rock books out there that I haven't read. I took a slight break because
Hmm.
I'm on my smut phase right now, and that's
Right.
fun. So, I'll
Yep.
go back to the
Gotta
rock here.
balance it out.
Gotta
Gotta
balance it
balance
out.
it out.
It doesn't matter though, because every book I read has sex in it, even if it's Rockstar or just normal
Yep.
smut. So it doesn't matter. Um, Ace, what am I saying? Uh, Rick James. Don't really care about that one. More Keith Moon. Yeah, Keith Moon has to make a second appearance on this list for the time when he passed out on stage after consuming horse tranquilizers and brandy before a 1973 concert in California. Unable to revive him, the band invited 19-year-old audience member up on stage to finish the set in place of Moon. What a
Take him
time.
off. Come on.
Just wheel him off. We gotta
Wheel him
show
off.
him.
Yeah.
Like, who here can play
Next.
drums? Who here can play drums? Anybody? Okay, you get on stage. Crazy.
Oh.
Anyone else? Here's something that caught my eye. Ted Nugent. In 1978, 30-year-old Ted Nugent became involved with 17-year-old Pele. I don't know. To get around the fact that she was under 18, Nugent convinced her parents to sign legal documents making him her legal guardian. They were then able to live together freely, and the pair remained intimate for almost a decade. Which
Why is this such a
reminds
common
me,
theme?
why is this a common theme? Because it was Steven Tyler. Yes. Steven Tyler, I believe, who is also on this list, I think for the same reason, but he was also an adult man who had a relationship with like a 16-year-old girl and then got custody of her to bring
Hmm.
her on tour and like date her. How weird is that? You have to get
Hmm.
custody of your girlfriend?
Yeah.
That's fucked up. There's a
If I'm not
reason this is
mistaken,
illegal.
it happened with Elvis and Priscilla too.
You know what? You might be correct. I'm
Let me
not
look it up real
sure.
quick.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not sure about guardianship,
Yeah, I
but
don't know
like
about it.
obviously like she had to still be in school. We all saw that in the movie.
Back with the honest answer after some research next episode.
Yes, we'll come
Unclear
back.
the dynamics, but she was like 14 or something.
She was
So
a child. There
yeah.
is a reason that this shit is illegal.
Hmm.
So yeah, we'll come back with a straight answer later. But um other honorable mentions. There's this fun little tidbit about David Lee Roth in here. It says Van Halen frontman David Lee Roth allegedly paid his roadies extra money for finding the hottest groupies while on the road. Roth reportedly gave any roadie who picked the woman he ultimately deemed worthy of betting after a show an extra $100, which back then,
Eh.
a hundred bucks back then was a lot of money.
Hmm.
So the fact that he was like, whoever can find me the hottest
Yeah. He
girl,
didn't even have to do the work. He was just, here you go.
no, absolutely not. So he was like, nope, here's an extra 100 for whoever
So,
picks the hottest girl. So that's kind of funny. It says Rod Stewart used to use cocaine anally, to try to get it to, be more quick and efficient.
uh-huh.
So
Hmm.
that's interesting. Um, Slash, there's a lot of shit about Slash on drugs, but that's again, we could do a whole Guns N' Roses
Yeah.
episode.
That'll be one of our upcoming episodes,
I
I
feel like
think.
this happens with us now when we're like doing an episode and then we realize what would make a good
A good
future
episode, because we don't
episode.
really have a plan episode to episode. We just kind
Right.
of go with it.
Yeah, we'll just go with it. Obviously, Ozzy's a big one.
Mhm.
Says Marilyn Manson. Um, there is another groupie that made this list. Her name's Lori Maddox. It says she wasn't a rocker herself, but Lori Maddox's wild adventures as a rock groupie made her a legend. Her groupie days began when she lost her virginity to David Bowie at age 15, consensually, she insists. Soon after, she began in a relationship with Jimmy Page, who asked Maddox's mother for permission and got it. What is up with these parents, man?
Mhm.
That's crazy.
Not sure. Go ahead.
That's crazy, but all
All
right.
right.
Um,
Okay.
that one's kind of lame. There's the shark incident. Um, here's another one. Jerry Lee Lewis. Piano playing madman Jerry Lee. I cannot say that. Jerry Lee Lewis. Wow, that's hard to say. Married his 13-year-old cousin in 1957.
Ah,
The marriage had been a secret from the press and fans until Lewis went to England for a tour in 1958 and brought her along. Due to the scandalous wedding, Lewis was blacklisted from numerous radio stations and dropped from Dick Clark's popular American Bandstand show. So, what the fuck, Jerry? That's fucking weird. Um, oh,
okay.
here's another
Hmm.
thing I wanted to talk about. Gene Simmons. Okay,
Mhm.
Kiss. Kiss bassist Gene Simmons reportedly has a photo album of the 4,000 plus women he slept with over the years. Simmons says that he's just like a tourist and has been taking shots of each of his lovers since the early 1970s. So Homeboy literally has a book. And
A
also,
vault.
and why I wanted to bring this up is because Mick Jagger also claims that he has slept with over 4,000 like people. We're gonna say people for Mick Jagger. Um, can you imagine your body count being over 4,000?
No.
4,000? There's only 365 days in a year. And granted, that book was started in the early 70s.
Mhm.
So he's had a good 50 years.
Yeah.
But can
Yeah.
you imagine? I can't.
No.
That's
No.
fucking crazy to me. So I wanted to bring that up. And for some reason, there's a specific number in my mind that I might have saw earlier with either Gene Simmons or Mick Jagger. I don't remember which one, but I think it was Gene Simmons, where the number 4,897 women were brought up. And I don't have that in front of me. But for some
Wow.
reason, that number sticks in my brain. That's almost 5,000 women. He's married now. So I don't know. But isn't that nuts?
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, but that's kind of all that was on on this list here to talk about. But honestly, that just scratches the surface. It really does. There's
Mhm.
so much shit that if we really dug into it,
Oh yeah.
there's so much to talk about. And I think that's one
Mhm.
of like, honestly, that's one of like the first things that really, when I started getting really big into rock music
Mhm.
outside of the music itself, was
Mhm.
when I started hearing crazy shit like this.
Mhm.
Because I said, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What do you
What?
mean that this
Yeah. What do
happens?
you mean?
What do you mean that this happened in real life? And again,
Yeah.
these stories, they stick with you. And I love the tea. I love the drama. So when I hear shit like this, I want more of it. It's like reality TV, but better.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's all the little notes that I made though
Mhm.
today. Um,
Some crazy ones.
some crazy shit.
Yeah.
We could do more if we want. We could do a part two.
Yeah. This is only part one.
This is only part one. We're just scratching the surface.
Mhm.
So, but that's all I have. Do you have anything that
That's all
you'd
for
like to
today.
add?
No.
Yeah, I kind of ran with this one, didn't I?
Hey, that's all right.
That's all right. Sometimes I just gotta get shit out of my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
but yeah, hey, we'll call it though. So I think we
Yep.
talked for like almost an hour, maybe. Um, but yeah, thank you for listening to all this fucked up shit that I just said.
Yeah. Yeah. All these ridiculously insane stories.
I want to know if these women are okay.
Yeah.
Like
Like, how
nowadays.
could you be? How could you be?
The thing is, I'm just gonna hope that they were all on drugs. And I
Mhm.
hope that they don't really remember it either.
Mhm.
So, because that might just save them the trauma.
Yeah.
So, not that I want people to do drugs, but it might help the trauma. All right. But with that, maybe we'll do a part two. Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows what'll happen? But we'll keep you guys updated on everything that happens with us. So, cool. With that being said, thanks for listening.
Nah.
Bye, guys.